How we doing, everyone? And welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. We are doing our Week 5 NFL preview. Just to let the viewer know, we are actually recording. This is Thursday morning because I wanted to make sure that I also included the Thursday night game. I'm going to be leaving the state for a couple of days. Got to handle some business. But we're going to be dropping this Sunday morning for everyone. And, if anything should change injury-wise, things of that nature, you'll be hearing from me as well as Zappy. Whether it be on my IG. Don't worry, we're going to keep you in the loop. Mike, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
Dude, I'm doing really well, Football's here tonight. Finally, let's go. Week 5. What can I say?
Yeah, it's going to be a big week. We're going to start it off with the two teams that Peyton Manning played for. This is Thursday Night Football later on tonight. The Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos. In my opinion, two teams that are desperately searching for an identity. Zappy, how do you feel about this game here? I think it's going to be a rather interesting and very competitive one.
I think it's going to be an interesting game, but if you ask me between the Broncos and the Colts, who I feel better about right now, I would say the Broncos just simply because the Colts have really underachieved this year. The Broncos was a team we thought were going to finish 4th in the division. Right now, they're not there. That belongs to the Raiders. And the Colts was a team that we both had playing in the AFC Championship game.
Yes, we did.
The definition of underachieving. And then when we look at the Colts going into this Thursday night, no Jonathan Taylor, no Shaquille Leonard, Matt Ryan, I don't know where he's at. Frank Wright is on the hot seat.
Yes, he is because of the disappointment. Yes, indeed.
And then we flip it over to the Broncos. They lost Javonte Williams for the season to a very bad knee injury. It was not just his ACL, but it's actually a lot worse than they thought it was.
Yeah, very sad young guy.
It is. And, it now goes over to Melvin Gordon, who has been the man before, but he is no longer the man he once was when he was playing for the San Diego Chargers. You enter Mike Boone, and they did go sign Latavius Murray off the Saints practice squad, but they still have their receiving core there. Defensively, they lost Randy Gregory. He's going to be out for a while after he had arthroscopic surgery to shave down his meniscus, I believe it was.
Yes.
So both these teams have a lot of question marks, but because of the simple fact that the Broncos are playing at home and they have a few more weapons available than, say, the Colts do, I have the Broncos winning this one. I have the Broncos winning this one in a very low-scoring game. The Broncos do have one of the top-scoring defenses in the NFL, and when you take away arguably the best running back in the NFL from the Colts offense, it's really hard to see how the Colts are going to be able to accumulate drives and get some points on the board. So I think the Broncos will cover the spread. I think they will win by 6 points and like a 21-14, 21-15 type game. Very low scoring. I'm expecting a snooze fest. And that's that.
I'm kind of on board with everything you said. I will say this. If Jonathan Taylor was suiting up, I was going to pick the Colts. Because he's not. Literally because he's not. I'm taking Denver because I think he could have been the X factor and it still would have been very close. Russell Wilson, he got a lot of flack on the Manning cast. I like the way that he handled himself, barking back at my team's former quarterback, Eli Manning. It's all in good fun. But I think that Russ is going to have signature moments in this game. Not necessarily a signature game, but I think he's going to have signature moments, whereas Matt Ryan will not. Defensively, Denver is on the fringe of being an elite unit. So if their offense ever actually wakes up, they actually could be a player in the playoffs at some point. That AFC West hasn't exactly gone as expected with the Raiders' slow start and with the Charger injuries, although the Chargers did look a lot better this past week 4. I'm gonna go Denver 17, Indy 15. Indy's gonna kick 5 field goals in this game and lose.
Oh, I like it.
We're gonna keep it on the theme of offensive challenges. My guys, the New York Football Giants, off to a very unexpected 3-1 start. Their only blemish against your Dallas Cowboys. Gonna make sure that I'm home for this game. I'll be coming back very late the night before the game. It starts early, 9 a.m., 9:30, 9 a.m., 8:30, 9:30 kickoff, I believe. In England, we are undefeated in Europe. That means nothing in this game. Giants are coming off a very emotional win, losing both their starting and backup quarterback, Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor. Had to get very creative and had to rely on the Wildcat offense, which was run by Saquon Barkley. The Giants don't have anything cooking right now at wide receiver. And while I do believe that our defense, even though we're playing the great Aaron Rodgers, can keep us in the game, we have issues on that side of the ball too. I'm looking for a narrative. I'm looking for a storyline. What do I find? Jalen Smith was dropped like a bad habit by the Green Bay Packers on a very short-term 1 or 2 week experiment. Jalen played well on Sunday. I love having him in blue. I'm a big Irish fan. As you know, he was a great Cowboy for a while. I think he fits Wink Martindale's system, and he's going to play a lot more snaps. He did the 50%. He's going to play probably closer to 70% of the snaps. I believe we might be starting Davis Webb. It is not a guarantee that Daniel Jones starts, but I do think Daniel Jones dresses. I think Tyrod Taylor is the odd man out this week, being that he's in concussion protocol and being that there is a lot of heat from the obvious Tua situation, which is not going anywhere. I feel the Giants are going to stick around. Green Bay is coming off of, I would say, getting outplayed against your boy Bailey Zappi and a motivated Patriot team last week. A motivated Patriot team that got away with a touchdown on double zeros, but it happens. All I'm going to say is the Giants are looking for answers at wide receiver. And without Daniel Jones being on the field and being able to have the element of a guy that could just take off at will, it's going to be hard to beat a quality Packer team, a team that I believe is going to win the NFC. I'm going Green Bay 26. They're going to be the first team to score more than 20 against the G-Men. I'm going to go Green Bay 26, Giants 17. I think the Giants are going to hang around, but unfortunately, I do believe that some of the injuries on both in the secondary and the injuries at quarterback are going to hurt them. I think Saquon's still going to have a quality game. And should the Giants lose by less than my margin of victory for the Packers, I think it's something to take home and get ready for the Baltimore Ravens. I don't think that this is a death sentence or something to feel too bad about if the Packers crack us. I think it's a motivational tool if the Giants hang around and lose without, a complete roster, so to speak, a healthy roster. Wink's got them playing very well. He makes adjustments on the fly. I like the passion and I like the coaching right now. I think our coaching is superb given our ineptitude on offense with the receiving issues. Daniel Jones is playing the best football of his career. That's why it's unfortunate that he got injured, but got the Giants losing by 9, but hanging around.
So I do have to correct you. This would be the second game they allow over 20, as they did allow 23 to Dallas.
Okay. Balls.
Anyways, when you look at the Packers defensively, especially, or any NFL team, you need that get well game. And not to say that the Packers defense has been bad, but it has not been playing to the expectations that many of us have expected. And then you look at the Giants offense, it's in shambles right now. I guarantee there's not many Giants fans that can name the receiving core that the Giants are putting out there right now.
It's pretty remarkable. Yeah, you make a solid point. You make a solid point.
And so then you think back to when Dallas went to New York a couple of weeks ago. They put up 175 yards rushing on that defense. And now you insert Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. And this is the perfect game for the Packers to get back on track. Not that they're off track. They're still winning. Mm-hmm. But defensively, your defense needs that game to give you that spark. And this is one of those games for the Packers. They're going to rely heavily on the run. We're going to see Aaron Jones, I believe, have himself a good game, rush for over 120 and a touchdown. I believe A.J. Dillon will rush for over 55 yards, possibly a touchdown himself. But I see the Packers defense playing a major factor in this game. And right now with the Giants, it's, I told you, this is where I believe the Giants and Giants fans are about to experience that downward slope of some football where it's kind of like, wow, all right, here we are, and it happens, So I've got the Packers winning this one. I've got them winning this one pretty handily, 27-10. I did live in Europe, and I can say that there are a lot of Packer faithful out there. There's also a lot of Giants fans, but right now the Packers, in my opinion, need this more than the Giants, simply because they are in a competition with the Vikings, where the Giants, for me, I've been saying it's not about this year for the Giants. It's about years forward, and it's a reality check, and they could be in it. I think Saquon will be a major reason why they could stay in it, but I just don't think he is enough to keep them in it, and that's why I have them losing by a pretty wide margin.
And as I said, if they keep it close, it's a moral victory, because I'll be very frank with you. And it's not because Daniel Jones is playing out of his mind. It's because he's got some serious confidence, and that's why it was so unfortunate he rolled his ankle. With Tyrod, or even Jones for that matter, on a neutral field, I believe the Giants may have had a chance for the upset, but I don't feel that great about Davis Webb. And not because he's not capable. He had a great preseason. I just think this Green Bay defense, they're catching him on the wrong week, especially, to your point, not playing up to their potential against the Patriot team that probably should have stole that game, but they didn't. We're going to talk about another underachieving team here in the Pittsburgh Steelers. They recently made a quarterback change. The Trubisky experiment appears to be over. Pickett is the dude now, and they're going to be making the trip to upstate New York to play a Buffalo Bills team that looked dead for half of the Raven game. Dealing with some injuries during that game as well, but they showed a lot of resolve, came back from behind, and kind of reiterating why you and I both believe that they are the best team in the AFC. Not much to see here. Pittsburgh defeated them last year. I do not see that happening 2 years in a row. Actually, no, I'm speaking out of turn. They did not defeat them last year. I had a minimal brain fart. I was thinking about a week 1 matchup against the Raiders last year. Never mind, I said that. The Raiders beat the Steelers, actually. I like the Bills to run away with this early. I think their defense is going to put Pittsburgh in some pretty precarious positions early. I think Von Miller is going to ball out. And, Buffalo is gradually getting back to health in that defensive backfield, and that's going to be big. I think Jordan Poyer is going to ball out. And on offense, regardless of who Josh Allen has, McKenzie's probably going to miss this game. They're having some issues with the slot position, but they are so damn talented, and Josh Allen just makes everybody around him better. I don't believe it'll be like the blow-up fantasy game, but I still like Buffalo winning rather easy. I'm going to go 34-13 Bills.
So you were right. Pittsburgh did beat Buffalo last year, week 1.
Wow, I watched some. Wow, that was week 1. That was
Yeah.
week 1.
Yeah, and I remember where I was watching that game at, everything. So I didn't want to interrupt you.
That's where I got screwed up. Week 2, Pittsburgh lost to the Raiders at home, so that's why I was a little foggy on that. Okay, fair enough.
Now, when I look at Pittsburgh, I was a week off. I thought last week would have been the introduction of Kenny Pickett to that offense, and it ended up being a week later. But while he played okay, I mean, the guy had 3 turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
And now enter that Buffalo defense in Buffalo. And while a lot of people are like, yeah, they won, Baltimore kind of handed them that game. We can look at John Harbaugh. Why did he not kick the field goal? I understand, you got to keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hand. If you can't, you got to score a touchdown, but you've got to trust your defense at some point. We're not talking about the Ravens, but the Bills got away
3
with
points is better than no points.
Exactly.
That game could have went to overtime. That game probably could have went to overtime because people are like, oh, they couldn't stop Josh Allen in the second half and da-da-da. I understand that. But they could have made adjustments. And I still think that if they would have took the 3, the likely outcome would have been an overtime decision. And maybe if the Ravens get lucky, they get the ball first. Maybe they win the game. Damn, you don't take that opportunity away from your team.
There's
especially
too many elements.
Very Ron Rivera-ish. He's known for being Riverboat Ron, but I expected a little more out of Harbaugh. And you're talking about a former Super Bowl winning coach. And let me tell you something. This is a franchise in Baltimore. We're going to touch on them in a few, but they could be in transition. We don't know what the future holds for Lamar, which could also mean a potential surprise coaching change, similar to when Philly moved on from Doug Peterson when not too many people saw that coming. He expedited that move with his shenanigans in Week 17 of 2020. But as far as the game goes, I like Buffalo by 3 or more touchdowns. 34-13. Pittsburgh might get a cheap touchdown late.
Yeah, I just don't think Kenny Pickett's coming into the wrong situation.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I guess
and Minka Fitzpatrick is hurt. They don't have TJ Watt back.
No, by the time TJ comes back, they're going to be so buried in that division.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because during Mike Tomlin's entire career, it looks like he's going to finally get his first losing season. Not his fault.
No,
but it's just, right now things are not clicking for the Steelers, and it's unfortunate. But I think Buffalo is going to win pretty big, at least 3 touchdowns. I say that being genuine right now.
No, it's going to be a rough day for Pittsburgh. This is interesting. We're talking about great coaches and minimal losing seasons and yada yada. We have Dan Campbell, who is admired by a lot of fans just because of his passion. We were on him pretty hard last week against the Minnesota Vikings. Actually, that would be 2 weeks ago now. They did get beat by the Seahawks. This is a weird Lions team. They got the #1 offense and the very worst defense. Got a New England Patriots team, as I already alluded to, with your guy, Bailey Zappi. Devontae Parker starting to find himself. He was the source of a lot of our jokes early on. This is a tough one. I'll put it to you like this. If this game was being played in Detroit, I'd pick the Lions. But because of the fact that it's in Gillette, and even though it could be suspect to think that the Patriots could have another similar game, this is my thing. They went toe-to-toe with the Packers. Should have won the game. They didn't. They're not going to get that resistance on defense where I think that Belichick and co are going to trust Zappi a little more to make some plays here. I do think the Lions will put some points on the board. I just think this is the coming out party, if not just for 1 week, for the New England Patriots. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, actually. I'm going to go Patriots 30, Lions 27, Nick Folk, walk-off field goal.
So this one,
it's a little tough.
I actually,
You're thinking about picking the Lions, aren't you?
I'm not thinking about picking the Lions. I am picking the Lions. They get DeAndre Swift back. They get Amon-Ra St. Brown back. And, this is a team that's already, like you said, the number one offense. And I understand they're going against Belichick and that defensive-minded genius head of his.
This is the man who held Jared Goff to 3 points on the grand stage. And that was in a much better offense.
But this is not the grand stage, and he definitely doesn't have Tom Brady to bail him out to find Gronk towards the end of the game either. This is a regular season game where he's trying to figure out, is it going to be Brian Hoyer or is it going to be Bailey Zappi leading the charge for that team?
Zappi greater than Brady.
Hey, the name is.
Damn right.
No, I like the Patriots defense. I like how they've been very competitive. Mm-hmm. We look at the game last week against the Packers. That defense came out and played.
Yeah, they did.
We could talk about the Romeo Doubs catch, no catch, whatever.
Yeah, I hate that rule, but, it is within the rules.
It is within the rules. If it's Brian Hoyer leading that team out there, then I think it's not going to be a high-scoring game.
I tend to agree.
If Bailey Zappi comes out there, which it's very possible that Bailey Zappi comes in relief for Brian Hoyer midway through the second quarter because Hoyer's just not established.
I just can't understand why they would want to start Hoyer over Zappi. You know what you got with Hoyer. Find out what you got with Zappi. And this is the right defense to find out when you're playing the worst defense in the league. I'm going to say this, though. I get your point about DeAndre Swift coming back, but I also think that similar to what you said about my Giant game, I think the two-headed monster of Ramondre Stevenson and
Damian Harris
is going to provide New England opportunities to take chances down the field that under other circumstances maybe they don't feel that good about. Because I do think that part of the reason and a critique of mine why they didn't beat the Packers is because Belichick refused to let that Zappi kid try to make a play. And I think he took that out of his very Parcells-ish, if you want to go back to the old days of Phil Simms. I didn't like it. I think the Patriots should have won that game. Not that I was rooting for them, but just as try to be just a bystander. You see it every week. Teams that should have won but didn't win. And in that regard, I think Belichick should have took a few more chances because you are playing the great Aaron Rodgers and you can't keep playing around. You got to put him away when you can. This is not the great Aaron Rodgers. This is Jared Goff. I think Matthew Judon's going to have a ball game. I think the Jabril Peppers might surprise some people in this one too. I like the Pats, but it's still going to be a high-scoring game.
I got the Lions 31-27.
So basically, we almost got the same score. We just picked the opposite ways. This could be confusing to some. I'm not going to allow myself to get confused. The Chargers finally put a game together, their first good game they've put together since a very close loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. I like the Chargers here, and I don't think the game's going to be as close as some others might think. While I do admire what the Browns are doing, sticking around, and I've said this, you said it as well, if they're playing roughly around 500 ball or within reach of 500 ball, when Deshaun Watson comes back in that final stretch of the year, this could be a playoff team and a playoff team that nobody wants to play. Right now, I don't view them as that. They're coming off a tough loss, a game that I think they should have won. More importantly, in the storyline of this particular game, I think it's going to be the combination. Actually, it could be three guys, but I think Justin Herbert is going to feast with Everett. I also think Eckler is going to have a big game in the receiving department, more so than the rushing department. And I also expect Mike Williams to play really well. I think this Chargers team is so very talented, and even though they're dealing with injuries, I do think that they're going to put it together on Sunday. And I do think that something that gets overlooked when we look at the Chargers' injuries is that they have a lot of depth that could be good depth, like potential guys that can start on other rosters. I feel good about the Chargers in this one. I'm picking them to win this thing 34-24 by 10 on the road. I think Herbert's going to have a signature game.
Yeah, so I'm not going to hit too much on this one. the chart, we talk about, I was just talking about how the Packers, they needed that get well game, and
Yes,
it's
they
coming
did.
up against the Giants. The Chargers got that last week
Mm-hmm.
against the Texans, and that was without the likes of Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen looks like he's going to be playing this week.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Parham might actually be playing his first game since the concussion, which is something we hit on, So
You like how I made the mention
actually,
about Mike Williams, though?
yeah, I do.
I think Williams.
He's been having himself a great year.
Yeah. I think Keenan Allen is not all. He's gonna play, but I think his first game back, Williams is gonna be the guy that goes off.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And I like the Gerald Everett matchup in this one too.
There's right now, I think the Chargers are going to start hitting their stride. Mm-hmm. They needed that last week. I have the Chargers winning by 10 as well, but I have them winning 31-21.
31-21. Nice. This is a weird one because how do you call an upset here? I'm calling for an upset. I'm going to tell you why. The Jacksonville Jaguars are still learning how to win. And I think there's something rather commendable, the performance that and the challenge that they provided for the Philadelphia Eagles. But this is a classic trap game for a young team trying to get their feet wet and learning how to win in this league. Coming off an emotional loss to the Eagles, a game that I think most of us think they should have won. They're supposed to win this game because they have a little more on offense and they have potentially a little more on defense. And they have the better quarterback. They're supposed to. I think the Texans are going to punch them in the mouth. I think this is going to be close, but I think the Texans are going to pull off a road upset here. I'm going to go Houston 23, Jacksonville 22. I like Houston in this one. I really like what I'm seeing out of Dameon Pierce. I think he's going to be the best running back in this game. And I still think that Trevor Lawrence is susceptible to throwing the bad picks, and I think you might see a couple more. I don't think they have that rapport of, we're in Duval, we're home. They don't have that yet going on. And I almost want them to win this game because we play them in a couple of weeks, and we might be the get right week when they get right. It's a week-to-week league. I like the Texans for the upset.
So I'm going the other way. I've got the Jaguars winning this game. I think – I don't think the Eagles won that game last week. I think the Jaguars lost it. A lot of it had to do with Trevor Lawrence's 4 fumbles and 1 interception.
Indeed.
I like the Jaguars defense a lot. I love Devin Lloyd. I think Devin Lloyd has been a great rookie linebacker for that defense, and I think he's someone that can easily follow Dameon Pierce wherever he goes.
He's a linebacker I wish the Giants would have drafted out.
He's the one that I wanted the Cowboys to draft too. So
the Giants had their chances. Let me shut up. All right,
but no, I like Houston. I think Houston's going to be battling in this game, but I just think the Jaguars, if they didn't have Doug Peterson at the helm leading that team, I think it would be a lot different of an outcome. But because we have a Super Bowl winning coach with a Trevor Lawrence that is been making the leaps forward.
Yeah.
He did have himself a nice bump in the road last week because if he doesn't make those turnovers, it's very likely Jacksonville wins that game.
You're talking about a very opportunistic Eagles defense. While they give up yards, they do tend to make the play when they need to make the play.
They need to, but Lawrence did bobble a couple snaps from center. So,
and that just has to do with poor execution, not necessarily who's on the other side of the ball.
Exactly. And no, I think the Jaguars are going to be just fine. I think they're going to come out. I think they win this game by 10, 27-17. I think, the over-under, I believe, is set at 44, and the Jaguars by 7. I think Jaguars cover.
They got them favored by a touch.
Yeah.
They don't cover that.
I have them covering, but I have them the over-under pushing. And it's just one of those, I don't know. I like the Jaguars. I like this team. I've liked this team for a while now. They had a nice lesson last week against against a much better team, and they gave them a fight. Mental errors. I cannot see them making those same mental errors 2 weeks in a row.
Right, fair enough. A couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I would say that this game is going to be a beatdown of mass proportions. But what I'm gradually and slowly learning about this Atlanta Falcons team is that they got some guts on them. I don't think they're going to be as piss poor at the end of this year as I would probably project it going in. This is a team that's coming off of a couple of decent wins after the slow start of 0-2. They're now squared up at 2-2. Road win in Seattle, doesn't matter what year it is. You win in Seattle, that's a quality win. That's a tough place to play. And winning at home against the Cleveland Browns most recently. So I'm going to say that Tampa's the better team, and Tampa will win. But similar to what we saw last week with Green Bay and New England, I could see something similar happening over here. I'm going to go Tampa 27, Atlanta 23. I think Atlanta's going to keep this game a lot closer than people expect. But in the end, the Falcons will do Falcon-like things, which is blow fourth quarter leads. And I think Tom Brady and co. will do enough to at least make the Tampa faithful feel good for 1 week. I'm in the territory of being very close to calling this Tampa team a pretender. I might be overreacting on that, but that's how I feel right now.
This is another one of those get well games. Tampa Bay, while they did lose to the Chiefs at home last week.
Mm-hmm. A lot of teams lose to the Chiefs at home.
But like I said before, I believe the way that game started set the pace for the rest of the game. If that fumble never happens on the opening kickoff, I believe Tampa drives it down the field. They take the lead, and it's a Tampa Bay style game. A
different complexion because people, it gets overstated, but that beginning sets a tone for so much more.
It really does. And when you look at Tampa, there's two things I look at. One, they still had themselves a damn good game, if you really look at it statistically, against a pretty good Chiefs defense. Granted, they were playing from behind, so
I kind of got mixed feelings on that. I think I called it on the previous show with the Olsons and with Idris. I think I called it a fake shootout.
Yeah, it was definitely a fake shootout. But you cannot take anything away from Brady and those receivers, and they're getting healthy.
Yeah, gradually getting healthy.
I
got to mention this. Get right indeed. You know who's going to score the go-ahead put-away touchdown on this thing? Because it is going to be close. Because I think Tampa might come out flat and then wake up when they need to. Julio Jones. This is his first game against the team that drafted him.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, it's something that we get that just gets forgotten. And, Julio Jones, he's going to have a game.
No, and I think the loss of Cordell Patterson for that Falcons team is going to hurt them a little more than people think.
He hasn't had the typical CPAT year what we expected off of last year. And they'll be all right. They got other backs, and
no,
they're not going to be all right because you lose a lot with that versatility that Patterson brings.
Exactly, and no, I think, and not to mention right now, Tom Brady, he got him and his wife Giselle, they have their divorce lawyers now. The reason why Brady's getting the divorce is because of
he wants to play 7 more years.
He wants to play for however long he wants to play. And I think we might see a little bit of an upset Brady. There's always that time throughout Brady's career where he just gets pissed off.
He snaps. And it's usually around week 8. It's a little early this year.
And I just feel it's coming. I have the Buccaneers winning. I have them winning pretty handily right now. I think they're going to win this game by 14 points, 31-17, running away. I think their defense is going to lead the way. I think they're going to do just fine running the ball with Fournette, and I think Brady's going to have himself a good game. I just can't if Patterson plays, I think they have a different game, but no, it's just, for me, this one, I think Buccaneers. And before we continue, I have to add, too, that one thing we have to remember is preseason is officially over.
Yeah.
We're going into week 5, so this is where I also
think they don't play the preseason anymore, so this is like legitimately the games that count.
So I think
once you get Breast Cancer Awareness Month, for sure.
October.
Absolute. I couldn't agree more. I definitely agree with you on that. What did you say your final was on this thing?
31-17.
31-17?
Buccaneers.
Yeah, I think it'll be closer, but we both agree the Bucs are going to pull this one off. And I spelled the Bucs wrong, right? Look at that. They're bad. Terrible. Terrible. That's two N's, right?
No, you spelled it right.
Did I really?
Yeah.
Why does it look wrong? It doesn't matter. They're going to win. We got the Dolphins at the Jets. Teddy Bridgewater, in my opinion, if he would have played the Thursday night game against Cincinnati from the start, we all know about Tua in that situation. I think the Dolphins would have won that game. I really do. As opposed to coming in relief. The Jets, this might sound funny. If this game was played in Miami, I think the Jets would have a better chance. The Jets are terrible at home. They're terrible at home. But they are undefeated on the road. I know it's a short sample size. And, a team like the Jets that's just trying to figure it out right now and get some kind of continuity. Zach Wilson played well enough to win last week, But even without Tua, the Dolphins have too many weapons. And I really believe that the Dolphins are going to exploit some of the Jets' weaknesses. The one thing that the Jets, and this is a good matchup that I want to see, is the combination of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle against Sauce Gardner. I think that's going to be a pretty good matchup. And I think the battles are going to be about a 50-50 distribution on who wins. But ultimately, Dolphins are a better team. Mike McDaniel's a better coach than Robert Saleh. At least I believe he's got a little more offensive flair that could really screw the Jets in this one. And I'm going to call it now. We're going to have a couple of Zach Wilson turnovers that are going to turn this thing out. I got the Dolphins winning this one 30-20.
You mentioned Mike McDaniel, an offensive genius. That's what he is.
Well, I mean, for now,
For now, yeah.
He's a new coach that was an OC, so we'll have this conversation and we'll revisit it. Jordan Patrick, guy I worked on his show, he is like the biggest advocate for McDaniel. This dude is like pushing him.
I love Mike McDaniel. It's one of the guys that I was pushing as well. But then we talk about Robert Saleh, a defensive-minded coach.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If Miami had Tua in there, I would feel very confident picking Miami to win this game. But it's Teddy Bridgewater.
I like Teddy.
And you said one name, Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
He has played phenomenal for his rookie year.
Which I expected.
As did I. And I think the Jets are just going to play some inspired football. And I think, because it's a rivalry game, I believe the Jets are going to sneak away with this one 21-17. I'm sorry, 20-17. And I liked how Zach Wilson looked last week. He is playing against a pretty competitive Miami Dolphins defense. And while Teddy Bridgewater, he has always done a really good job of winning, there's just something about this game that I feel it's my upset of the week. And a lot of people might not say it's an upset, but crazy part is they win that game. The Jets are tied for second place, and they will have that head-to-head. So I'm taking the Jets on this one.
Those are all the reasons why I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, like we talk about the Mets always be the Mets.
Mm-hmm.
The same could be said about the Jets, but I feel confident that this is going to be one of those games where the Jets come out.
When I say something like, hey, if they were on the road, I'd like them better, that's all you need to know about the Jets. But we'll see. I mean, then again, you and I both in the preseason said this is going to be a 7-win team. You can't make half of 7 because there's no 3.5, but they would be getting close to halfway to what we predicted. So not this week, though. Not this week.
And that was one of the wins I had for them on their way to 7. I will say that.
All right. Bears at Vikings. I learned something about the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields is going to be a good football player. He's not there yet. But the more games and just the more game action, he's going to continue to gradually get better. We should have named this show "Get Well" or "Get Right." because I don't think the Vikings played their brand of football in England, and they were fortunate to walk out of there with a victory. I think they had moments where they asserted themselves. That game should have not come down to praying that Will Lutz didn't kick 2 consecutive field goals for a combined 121 yards. The Bears' offense super limited, and against my New York Giants, they were super limited, and that's a defense that's not quite all the way there yet. Playing well coached, not there personnel-wise. The Vikings have more to offer than my Giants do. I think Fields is in for a rough one. I think this is a get-right game for the Vikings, and most importantly, I believe that the Vikings can really, really run the ball in this game, and I think that's going to be the difference. I got Kirk Cousins throwing 2 TDs in this one to Thielen, 1 to Jefferson. And I think the rushing attack for the Vikings is going to go off and close in close to 200 total yards on the ground. This is not going to be that difficult. This is going to be one of their better signature wins. I'm going 27. We'll go 27-17 Vikings, and I don't think it's going to be as close as even that.
You pushed on the over/under for that game. It's 44, so that's
crazy. Yeah, you like that?
Short and sweet on this one. Get well game. I believe the Vikings are going to come out firing. I think Justin Jefferson is going to have himself a very big game. I think Dalvin Cook's going to have himself a good game on the ground. I have the Vikings coming out on top 31-13 in this game, and I just don't think the Bears right now, they're too far away. You talk about Justin Fields. I'm not a fan of him, but he does need more talent around him, and obviously not having Montgomery there doesn't help him. So 31-13.
This could be close. This will be close. I think the X factor in this game, there are two people that are going to be X factors in this game. X factor 1 is King Henry. I think King Henry adds a little momentum to what looks like his initial resurgence after his injury last year. He had a nice game against a division rival last week. The Commanders are just a bad team, dude. I know in the beginning of the year, you and I felt that potentially they could be a surprise. You a little stronger than me. And I know that you made mention that you guys just got done beating them. They were in the game. I get it. I like the Titans in this one. I do. And I think Carson Wentz is going to have yet another rough one. Not that the Titans are well-oiled on offense. I just think they got a little more going for them than the Commanders do right now. But it will be close. I'm going to go Titans 23. And I'm going to go Titans 26, Commanders 23. It'll be close, but I think I just think that Henry's going to have enough of a game, and Tannehill will be dealing with manageable third down situations.
So this game, I have it a final score 23-20.
Okay.
I wanted to say that
same winner.
I wanted to say that Washington was going to come out and play, some inspired football. Mm-hmm. Brian Robinson has been cleared to play, but he's not playing this week. Washington's defense is good. They did a really good job of controlling Dallas's run game this past week. But that was a divisional game, and Washington and Dallas usually play each other really, really good, with the exception of last year and the year before that. But the year before that, they owned us. I just right now, Washington, they seem like a sinking ship. Carson Wentz, his line has not been giving him time. Tennessee's got a good rush defense. And a pass rush. So, I think Tennessee pulls it off 23-20. Again, agreeing with you. X factor being Derrick Henry. I think he actually has himself a good game. Rushes for 87 yards, 1 touchdown. And Ryan Tannehill is going to pass for a touchdown to, I'm going to say it, Josh Gordon. I'm saying it right now.
Nice.
So, that's what I have it. I have it a close game as well.
A team that Josh Gordon should have just been with his whole career, because it just makes sense. Talking about the Seahawks. The Seahawks are a tough one to figure because they just won a huge shootout. That was a real shootout against the Lions. But I don't want to get fooled by what I'm seeing. That's how porous and terrible that Lions defense is. Short and sweet. The Saints are at home. They're going to have an inspired win while missing certain aspects of their team. I think that they're going to actually put the Seahawks offense in check to a level. The main key to stop them, you got to take care of Penny. I think if you shut down the run game, they should, which I think they could, at least keep him honest. Force Geno to beat you with his arm. I know Geno right now off to a very good start, but I think a lot of it is misleading. I got the Saints winning this one. I'm going to go 24-20. I think the Seahawks will hang around. I think the Saints will win the game. And I think they will win the turnover battle. That's ultimately how I think this thing plays out. I think they're going to get some heat on Geno. I think it's going to be just not the most comfortable game. If the Seahawks win this week, I'm going to have to start changing my tune on them. But as of right now, no.
Yeah, I haven't bought into the Seattle. I haven't yet, not yet, because I look at who they've beaten. They beat Denver at home in one of the most emotional games for that city.
For sure.
Playing Russell Wilson. And then they beat Detroit, the worst defense in the NFL. They lost to San Francisco. They lost to Atlanta. I'm not sold on Geno Smith. Everyone, Geno Smith is above. No, get out of here with that. He played Detroit's defense.
Yeah, seriously.
No, I think the reason why the Saints win this game alone is because of their defense. Offensively, they still have question marks, but we could say one of the bright spots for that team has been Chris Olave. I believe he's coming along very nicely. And, is Jameis Winston going to play or is it Andy Dalton? Whatever the case is, they're playing at home. It's going to
be Dalton, and I still think they're going to win.
Yeah, and I do too. I have them winning 27-20, but a lot of that's going to be because of their defense.
Mm-hmm.
And
we're on the same boat the way we're looking at this one. This game doesn't even deserve for me to talk about. If it was 1995, this game would be lit. It's not 1995. I'm going to make two comments, and that's going to be the end of my comments. 31 49ers. 13 Panthers. Matt Rule fired on Tuesday. That's all I got.
I thought he was going to be fired this week. I thought this last week would have been his last game coaching. This is it
for him this week.
You would think so.
Because because it's at home and they're gonna get just massacred. It's gonna be bad.
I don't necessarily think it's gonna be a massacre.
Oh, I do.
I think it's gonna be
because Baker Mayfield is so bad right now, and that 49er defense is gonna mess him up.
Yeah, and the 49er defense is one of two defenses that have not allowed a team to score over 20 points, the other one being my Dallas Cowboys. And, the one bright spot for the Panthers is, of course, Christian McCaffrey.
It don't matter. There's no bright spots.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, I know.
I've already wasted too much time on this game.
No, I got 49ers winning this one. I got them winning 27-13.
That's it. This is much better to talk about. Just want to give you a heads up, Zappy. We're coming up a little under the 12-minute mark, so we're going to pick up the pace a little here. This one could potentially be a real shootout. I like Philly in a high-scoring game. I'm going to go Philly 37, Cardinals 31. You know what? Let's have fun. Make it overtime. Reason I like the Eagles is because I believe that Kyler Murray is more prone to make the instrumental turnover, whereas Jalen Hurts, given Philly's style, won't. I think Philly's going to have a decent day on the ground. I'd love to see them lose this game. I just don't think it's going to happen. I like them by 6 in OT. But it will be high scoring, and it'll give the Cardinals some confidence.
Yeah. It's an NFC East team against an NFC West team. If you really look at the Cardinals, they haven't actually been that bad, and they are tied for first in that
their defense is kind of like evolving into something that could be pretty good.
They're quiet, but I'm not sold on Arizona yet. I still believe now today that division is down to the Niners and the Rams, with the Niners leading the way. this is one of those games that I think the Eagles might be looking past because they have Dallas next week.
Potentially.
So I would not be surprised if they lose this game, but I'm still going to take Philly to win this game 31-27. And I think it's just going to come down to Jalen Hurts in that run game.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I kind of agree. I don't think this is the week that Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown go berserk. You know who could have a game? His best game of the year could be Dallas Goedert in this one. But, yeah, we're both on the same page here. I wanted to give you at least 5 minutes to talk about this one because this is your team. Quick point, I want to piggyback what you said about that it's the Rams and the Niners. If your boys go in here, take care of business, beat the Rams, and if that is coupled with a Cardinals victory, there could be more meaning to that than just 1 week. Because the Rams, not the most convincing. Give me your take, and I'm going to give you what I think when you're done.
Well, I look at the Rams and their offense. You talk about their offense last year compared to this year when they had Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, and OBJ. Mm-hmm. Now, fast forward to this year, it's Cooper Kupp
again.
Kupp. Allen Robinson, who is he? That has surprised the hell out of me.
It's questionable if it was the right move for the
trading away Robert Woods for what was it, a 6th-round pick to Tennessee in order to go sign Allen Robinson, as of today has proved to be a complete failure.
It's not working.
And I was not a fan of it because Robert Woods and Cooper had such a good chemistry together. They worked well together. They knew, all right, you're going to go this way, I'm going to go that way. They were Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker.
It's important. It's important to have that rapport with your 1 and your 2.
It is. And then I look at the Rams offensive line. They are struggling at stopping teams like Dallas's defense who can get pressure on the quarterback. And now they're facing arguably the best pass rushing defense in the NFL. They don't have Whitworth there to bail them out.
Yeah, Whitworth is a big loss due to retirement. He was awesome.
And Dallas, again, the key to success for Dallas is holding you under 20, not making any stupid turnovers. I'm thankful Dak's not playing. I thought if Dak would have played, it was going to be a rush him out there. He would have made a couple of mental errors trying to force the ball. I like what Dallas's offense is doing right now. They're running it. They're making it easy for Cooper Rush. I almost pulled you, by the way.
Yeah, I do that every week. I do it every week.
And the one surprising factor for Dallas has been their offensive line. If they can stop Aaron Donald, I think they're going to be just fine. I am going out on a limb, and I am not because I'm a Cowboy fan, but because of what I see with Dan Quinn and that defense. And because of what I see with Sean McVay and that offense right now, they just look lost. I
tend to agree with pretty much all the points you made. I have 2 reasons why I think the other team's going to win, though. While I agree with pretty much everything you said about the Rams, they should have kept Woods maybe, or maybe not thought that highly of Robinson. Obviously, OBJ is not a member of any NFL team. He's healing. Good point as well. There's one guy on this offense that I think could have a blow-up game, and that's actually Tyler Higbee. I think each running game will be kept relatively honest. But with Dak's comeback coming sooner than later, I think this is the time where the Cowboys lose a game. Because I'll be honest with you, even though we all know that Dak's supposed to be the starter and Rush is, doing a cool backup act right now, and he's succeeding. They come in there, no matter how you slice it, and if your boys beat this team, I don't give a damn. They're going to figure out a way to push a weird narrative that this is a quarterback controversy. And then the other problem is, hey, well, Dak hasn't won a game this year, and this dude hasn't lost one. This is the week where Dallas loses. It's going to be close, though. It's going to be close. 24-23 Rams. I've got Maher if I pronounced it right, missing a potential game-winning field goal. It's going to be close.
Yeah, I've got it very similar. Me, the X factor being our defense. Tony Pollard was shut down last week, and I think he's actually going to have himself a big game this week. Jalen Ramsey, he's going to follow CeeDee Lamb everywhere. And
yeah. And that's another reason why I think the Rams might pull this thing out.
Yeah, you
got two studs in Donald and Parsons, respectively.
Oh, absolutely. Arguably the number 1 and 2 defensive players of this year.
Yeah,
you can make arguments for other players.
With Watt hurt, that's an easy one to identify.
And Nick Bosa might have a say about that. Either way, I want to take the Rams 20-17. I do. But going to LA is not playing a road game, and that's
no. I get that too. I do. It's a valid point.
I'm taking Dallas in this one, 23-20. I believe Cooper Rush is going to come out and have himself another manageable game, and we're going to see another Cowboy victory, which again is going to tell Kellen Moore, when Dak comes back, stop throwing the ball 45 times a game and just rely on the defense, rely on your offensive line, and go from there. 23-20 Dallas.
Bengals at Ravens, Sunday Night Football. Ravens are winless at home, which is kind of a strange stat that I don't think we would just assume would happen in the first month of the year. And both their losses at home happened with collapses. Cincinnati Bengals look like they're starting to find a little bit of traction after their slow start. I like the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to go in there, extend Baltimore's losing streak at home, and prove that maybe, just maybe, last year wasn't a complete fluke, or at minimum, they are still the best team in this division. I think Joe Burrow is going to take care of business, and I think people are starting to realize that it's not just – and I know that Idris pushes the Wink Martindale button a lot, and yes, there is validity to that with Wink being gone, but more so than that, with the exception of some potential stars like a Kyle Hamilton, I don't think the Ravens defense is that good. And people are just so not used to it not being good that they don't really know how to assess it. Like, they're not used to it. Bengals 34, Ravens 24. And I got Lamar throwing a pick. Don't laugh at me. I got Lamar throwing a pick to Eli Apple.
Oh, God.
Yeah, oh, God is right.
No, I think this is another nail on the coffin of Lamar's exit from that team. I think this, I agree. I believe the Bengals will come in there and win. The Bengals right now, they seem to have found it.
They're getting their confidence.
The last couple of weeks. They have. And the Ravens have had 2 meltdowns.
Big time
meltdown. And that usually follows you. That tends to follow you. I'm taking the Bengals as well. I'm taking to win a slightly closer game, 27-23. I think Jamar Chase will have himself a big game finally. But like you just said, I agree. I'm not sold on the Ravens defense. And I'll leave it at that.
That's fair. I looked at this game and I said, damn, man, the Raiders need to do something soon. They finally got their first win. Can they pull an upset? This has trap game written all over it. No, they're not winning in Arrowhead. After what I saw Mahomes do, I think it was a reminder that he is still that guy, even without Hill and, with all the other question marks that everybody keeps throwing at him. I think because his ascension happened so early, people forgetting how great he really is. Bottom line here is I do not trust Carr right now, Brett's boy. Devontae Adams is going to score a touchdown in this game. Raiders will keep it close, and Darren Waller might have his best game of the season in this one, but Kelsey's going to have a better game. We're coming up on the minute mark, so I'm going to make it short and sweet. Raiders are losing in this thing. I'm going KC 38, Raiders 24.
So I actually have it 41-24 KC. KC has proven me wrong once again. Last week, going into Tampa and doing what they did.
They already got that trap game out of the way. Indy caught them sleeping.
and they're at home. Yeah, 41-24. I think Mahomes is going to continue doing what Mahomes does. Carr is going to continue to do what I think he's going to do, and that's that.
Awesome. Good show, buddy. And quickly, I just want to say this. My personal lock of the week is the 49ers against the Panthers. We're going to elaborate more on these games as they get closer. Until next time, I'm Richie. He's Zappy. Thank you for watching, and have a great